folks, it's me again, and this time we're back with a completely different kind of video. This time I'm going to be doing a video showing you how I make a speed build video for YouTube. So this is the best way to make a speed build video. This is not me showing you how to build or anything like that, or even how to use video editing software. It's just basically me showing you how I make a speed build, how I put one together, and just kind of what I find works for me. There obviously are a lot of new simmers in the community, and you know, people do ask how do you make a speed build, so I thought this might be quite a fun sort of beginner's video for people that are perhaps wanting to make their own videos. I've only been doing YouTube since February, but I have been playing The Sims since 2000, so you know, I've been playing the game a long time, but yes, I am very new to YouTube. So this is, like I said, this is just basically how I do one. I use Filmora 9 as my editing software, and I also use OBS to capture my in-game footage. So I'm not going to sort of go through about how, you know, how to use Filmora 9 or anything like that, and obviously, you know, people prefer different video editing software. I've not personally had any problems with Filmora 9, but I know that some people do. So I'm not going to sort of try and get you to get this, because you do have to pay for it. There are plenty of free software out there that you can use. I have used Premiere Pro, I've used this, and I've used Shotcut, which is a free program for video editing, and they all pretty much have the same kind of, you know, stuff that you can use to make videos. So I will show you how I do one. So what I do first of all is I get the video that I'm actually going to be editing. Obviously this is going to be different to your computer because you're going to have your stuff in different places. Then I do have a folder specifically for like named YT or YouTube with the stuff in that I use every time. So that's my intro and my outro are there. And then what I do is I go to where my screenshots are saved. Now mine's different to other people's because I actually use Reshade to do my screenshots, so they save to this different folder, but if you do want to find them, they are in the screenshots folder on your computer, and you press C in the game to do screenshots. So what I do is I hold Control and I just click all, I just did wrong. I hold Control and I just click all the photos that I want to use, and then I just drag them, and now I've opened them, and I just drag them there. So everything here is everything that I want to use to make my video. So first off, I click the plus sign on that one, and that adds to my timeline, and then obviously I want the video, so then I put the video in. This one's only 35 minutes long, and obviously I will go through with you about speeds and stuff like that. So yeah, so I add the video. Now when I record my in-game footage, I don't mute my microphone. So what I do, the first thing I do is detach the audio, which also helps with lagging in the editing program as well, and then I just delete it because that is of no use to me. I don't need that audio anymore, and I'm sure there are other ways you can do it, but that's how I like to do mine. So first off I do that, and then I check that everything's running smoothly and what it looks like, obviously the first screen that it looks like. And now one thing you can do, one thing that I'm pretty sure a lot of people do, is they probably watch the whole video and then edit it as they're watching it. Now what I do, which is a bit of a cheat move I guess, is I actually speed mine up first. So I go to the speed tab in Filmora, which is, if you click on the video, it comes up there, it looks like a little speedometer. I click that and I go to the fast category, and usually if my video is 1 hour plus, I will do 8 times. If it's 2 hours plus, I will even sometimes do 10 times. Anything faster than that, then I just kind of feel you can't really see much about it. However, because this is a 35-minute video, if I go for 8 times, the video is going to be 5 minutes long, and although a 5-minute long video is perfectly fine if you want to do that, I feel like it's a little bit too fast for the length of the video. I feel like I won't be able to tell you much about it, and it just kind of, to me, that just kind of seems too fast. So like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody that that's wrong for them to do. This is how I do it. So what I would do now is I would do a custom speed. So instead of that, I'm going to try 6 to start with and see how that is. So that's gone up to about 7 minutes or so, and let's see how fast that is now. See, again, I sort of think that's a little bit too fast for what I'd like, so I'm actually going to try 5 and see how that is. So that's gone up a little bit more, and I feel like this is kind of the perfect speed for this build. I mean, it's still fast, but obviously you can kind of see what's going on a little bit, so I'm going to leave it at 5. So then what I would do is I would watch this video in this speed, and I will edit out certain parts of it. So I'm going to quickly go through the parts that I would edit out. So first of all, I'm going to make the timeline slightly bigger. This is obviously quite scaled down. First of all, the start of the video, let's go there. So wait, hold on, I've gone a little bit too far because I can't see. Right, let's make that even bigger. So if we go to the start of the video, see this part of the video here where I'm deciding where to draw the actual outline of the house, I would edit that out slightly. So probably go from, keep going back, I would probably go from there, and I will cut that out, because to me that's just neither use to anybody. You don't need to see me deciding where I'm going to draw. So then I do the ripple delete so that everything goes into sync, and then I also do something else, which, you know, people probably do watch their video and make sure it's alright, but I will actually skip ahead, because I do try to remember areas where you know, but perhaps you don't need to see. So for instance, I don't need to show you how I put the roof on the house, so I usually get rid of that part of it, because I mean, although this roofing was actually a lot quicker than my usual roofing takes, I still don't necessarily feel that it is important for you to see, so I'll also edit out that, and then I will skip ahead and see if there's anything else that needs editing out. So let's have a look. Let's scrabble through just to see if there's anything there. I can't remember of anything else that I wanted to edit out. Oh, this is perfect. This is actually a break. Any sort of parts where it stands still for a slightly longer time, then I will also edit that part out as well. So I think it's coming up at some point now. Yep, so that part there where it just stops, I edit that out as well, because there's no point in you watching part of a video where it's not moving, and that doesn't make sense. That's just dead footage. And again, you know, you want people to sort of be engaged with the build, so I make sure to cut out those. I mean, I'm not perfect by any means. You can watch some of my videos and you'll see that there's still gaps in there. It does happen. You know, I'm not a perfect human being, unfortunately. But so, and as for what choosing what I edit out, I tend to get rid of anything that's taking a while to make. So like for instance, if I'm deciding on colours for something and then I choose a colour and then I go back and change the colour, then I will edit out the first initial choosing of the colour, because there's no point in you watching me put a colour on a wall to then later not use it. So I'll edit out that and just leave you with the one that I've chosen to use in the end. And if for some reason you had to make a massive cut between some, like, I don't know, say for instance you were doing the kitchen and then you cut that out and suddenly you were doing the living room, in a way that I make that transition kind of sort of look a bit better, so that you're not just kind of going from one area to another and just being a bit confused, is I will actually use one of the transitions in my editing software. So I'm going to put one in here just to show you an example, but it just kind of makes it a bit easier on the watch, I think, when you're watching it, so you're not just kind of dashing around wondering what they're doing next. So you see that kind of like transitions to another part. I don't do it for all my cuts, because sometimes there's like one cut after another, and to me that would seem a bit too choppy, so I try to make the cuts so that you can't tell that they're there as much, if that makes any sense. Obviously, again, this is all personal to me and how I feel about it. I'm not gonna sort of tell you that how you do yours is wrong, but these are all just kind of tips and tricks that I've sort of learned to make things a little bit more easy to watch. Now, as for what to talk about in a speed build, let me just edit that bit out. So for instance, here I'm changing the colour on the sofa, no need for you to watch me do that. So I'm going to edit that little bit out, and then there's a gap here, so it kind of times perfectly for me to do that as well. I'm going to edit out where it starts there, so we'll do that. And because the transition is going to go from the living room to the kitchen, here is a perfect place for me to actually put in one of those, so that it just kind of makes it a bit easy, so you're not just going from the living room sofa to the kitchen, just kind of gives it a nice transition. And so I'll just scrabble ahead, just see if there's anything else. Can't remember of anything that I did actually want to edit out of this video. I try to add in some bits just to show you the kind of stuff that I do edit out. Obviously, if you're doing landscaping, this landscaping was pretty quick, but if I was doing a lot of landscaping, then I would edit that out as well, because again, it's just, to me, just seems like pointless footage to have in, and it's just wasting minutes. That's kind of how I see it. So for instance, here I am putting the stones down, and then I'm trying to find a tree. So what I do is I go back to where I put stones down, and then I'm going to edit that bit out, and then you'll just see kind of the finished look. Now obviously you're probably thinking, well, you know, you're not actually showing how you're doing the build if you're going to edit everything out. But for me, a speed build isn't necessarily showing you how to build. It is more kind of showing you what I've done with the build that is in front of you, and obviously I'll be talking through with you what I've done as well, so you will you'll also get a commentary. So this bit, I'm going to edit this bit out as well, just because there's no point in you watching me put in a path and then delete parts of it, and then there's also me trying to choose what kind of shrubberies to put on the first part of the house. Again, to me, just kind of seems like dead footage and not really of any use. And all the time, I'm just making sure that everything kind of goes smoothly together. So if I do have any cuts, I kind of go back to before the cut and watch it through, just make sure that it goes nicely, that it's not too kind of jarring, that you know you can sort of tell what's happening. I might actually put a transition in there, just because that is quite different on that one. So that kind of yeah, so that makes that just a little bit easier to kind of see what's going on. And then so there's just more landscaping in this one. I'm just going to scrabble forward and make sure there's nothing that I've done. Now how I tend to this was supposed to be like a this is like a base game home. So what I did first was put in all of the items that the sim definitely needs, and then afterwards I kind of went through and changed them out to better items when I had money left. So here at the end, you can see I am putting in the lights, and then I think that's where I end the video. There, yeah. So what I'll do is I will actually cut off there, because there's no point in you watching me just save my game. So as for the video and the editing of it and which parts I cut out of the video, that's done. And then what I would do now is I would then add in all the screenshots. So I like to not put in too many screenshots. That's just personal preference, just because I feel like you've sat through the video. I don't want to then put loads of different screenshots in for you to then sit through as well. So I just kind of put some of the important ones in. I don't try to put in too many different angles, like I'm not going to show you the garden from that side when you've already seen it from this side kind of thing. But obviously again, that is personal preference. Some people like to do a lot of screenshots. I personally will just do one of each room. Again, between this and the between the screenshots, I will do transitions just so that it makes it a bit easier to watch. So I'll just add in these ones. Obviously this is my favourite transition. There are in Filmora, there's so many different ones. I'm not saying that you should use this one, that's just the one that I personally like to use. So yeah, so you'll see it kind of transition into the screenshots, and then the screenshots do go on for 5 seconds each. Now I find that 5 seconds is like the perfect amount of time for you to kind of look at it and kind of go, oh, I didn't notice that before, sort of see that. Anything longer than that and then I just feel like it's too long. Anything shorter and you don't actually get a chance to see the picture. So the default time is 5 seconds. I've not altered that or anything. And right, so that'll go to the end there, and then all I do is just add in my end outro. And the last thing that I usually do with my to edit my video is I add in obviously the voiceover. So once I've edited everything to how I want, I actually do my voiceover in Filmora. So I press this one, which is record the voiceover, and then I click this, and once I do that, I'll just show you what it does. It will start doing this little thing here, and obviously this is when I would start talking, and then afterwards I'll just kind of mess with the levels of that. I'm just going to delete that because that's going to sound very echoey and weird. So that's how I do my voiceover, and I will literally watch the video after I've edited it and talk about the build. Now as for the kind of things that I talk about in builds, that is completely personal preference. Some people purely talk about the build, other people like me just blabber on about anything and everything. You know, I have an inability to kind of not talk about nonsense. So for me, I will talk about the build, and then I'll also tell you like where the idea came from. I might tell you a little story, just kind of things like that. In a way, I kind of treat a speed build like a podcast. So the people that I watch speed builds from, sometimes I don't even watch the video, I just have the video on in the background listening to them because I like the stories that they tell, and I use it as a bit of a podcast to listen to. So, you know, obviously whatever you want to talk about in your speed build is completely up to you, but don't feel like you have to talk about the build, because sometimes when you do that, that might not be somebody's cup of tea. Somebody might just want you to talk about the build. So just you find what's comfortable to talk about and you talk about it. So for a little build like this, what was it, like sort of 13 minutes? No, it's not even 13 minutes, is it? It's like 6 minutes or something. Then, you know, I probably would only get a chance to talk about the build. So I'd probably just be telling you like kind of what I've done here, which is like a little, almost a starter home for a sim, blah blah blah. I might tell you a little bit about the sim that I've picked and why I've chosen different colours and stuff like that. Obviously for the longer ones, I try to not make my speed builds longer than 25 minutes. Like I try to make them just 25 minutes max. If I know that it's going to be longer than that, and it's going to, in order to get it to 25 minutes would mean that I'd have to speed it up more than 10 times, I would split it into 2 parts. Luckily so far I've not had to do that with any of mine. They have all been sort of 25 minutes and under. Obviously, you can't please all the people. Some people are going to want to watch speed builds that are only sort of 5 or 10 minutes, and some people are going to prefer 20 plus minutes. You can't please everybody. Again, just do what's comfortable for you, and just make sure that it's not too fast that you can't actually see what's happening. So like I said, 10 times speed is the maximum for what I would use. But I don't like using 10 times speed either. I usually prefer to use 8 times. Most of my videos are in 8 times speed. Again, personal preference. I can't make you choose what you want to do. And lastly, one thing that I do is I add in a music track, just because I feel like it sort of fills in the gaps sometimes when you might stop speaking or you might be thinking about what you're going to say. The music kind of fills in the gap. Now obviously for which music that you want to listen to in the game, it's completely up to you. I'm just very random. I just choose whichever. I use the film stocks library from Filmora, and make sure that I credit the music as well. These are completely free musics for you to use. You don't have to credit them, they're royalty free, but I like to credit them. And then what I do is I just add that underneath the voice audio, and then you can fade it in. Like sometimes I'll fade that in, and then I will also change the decibels to minus 30. Minus 30 is usually about the right kind of volume for you to be able to hear the voice clearly as well, because obviously you don't want it to be too loud and then you can't hear what the voice is saying. And then what I also do with the voice is I raise that to 6 decibels so that again you can hear that. And then for the end, all I do is go to my media, go to my audio, my music, and then I just add in my outro, make it smaller obviously to God, my mouse is a little bit too sensitive. Right, make it smaller so that you can actually see it, and then I just kind of fade it in so that it's not just kind of starting really like loud. And then I also turn that, I think I usually do this at like minus 25, so it's a little bit higher, and then that I kind of listen to it and make sure that the fade in is as long as I want it to be. And I use this as kind of a cue to start talking about start ending my commentary. And then once I've done that, once the video is complete, I'm going to get rid of these because obviously I haven't done a voiceover for this one, but pretend that I have. What I would do then is I would just export the video, if it'll actually do it. Obviously wherever it is that you save your videos to, then that's completely up to you. I would save that. I'll obviously give it a title, so I'm just going to put tutorial, and then I just make sure in the settings that the frame rate I can't even speak. The frame rate is 60 frame rates per second, that all these are obviously set to what I want them to be, and then I press OK, and then I start exporting. And that is literally how I do a speed build. Like I said, you know, how you do a speed build might be different to how I do one, but that is the easiest way that I've found to do it, and the quickest way as well. I mean, a speed build, obviously the building will take a long time to build. I mean, you know, everybody builds at their own pace, but I can get a speed build started and done in the same day using this method. So, you know, whatever video editing software you use will have all of these features for you to use, and that is literally how I do mine. So I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that it wasn't kind of too hard to understand. Obviously let me know in the comments down below if you liked this or if it was helpful in any way, and if there's anything else you would like me to show you. You know, I wouldn't mind doing like a little beginners kind of series, because again, I'm a beginner, so what better person to teach you than a beginner? So obviously, you know, thank you for watching. Give it a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe and all those kind of things, and I will see you on the next one.